Hi guys, in this video I'll be reviewing the Beach Boys' 1996 infamous studio album Stars and Stripes Volume 1. In my books this is not really like a real studio album by them, but I guess actually it is, so you know, what the heck, let's review it. But I apologize already because this is gonna be mostly a very superficial review. I usually like to do deep dives, but this album is for me sort of like I'm just not so excited about it. I know that this project does have its fans, so that's why I really wanted to review it. It is also gonna be sort of a review of this one, the Nashville Sounds documentary by Alan Boyd. The mid-90s was an interesting era for the group. Brian was finally free from Eugene Landy, and he was very creative, and he was working a lot with Andy Paley, writing new material, and he was doing demos with Paley. A bunch of songs, like 20 tracks or even more, that he demoed with Andy. And his idea was to pick the best of those tunes and record them with the Beach Boys for a new Beach Boys album, because Brian hadn't, well, the Beach Boys' last studio album didn't do very well, Summer in Paradise, and Brian hadn't really, worked with the Beach Boys in a decade. So he really wanted to get back working with the Beach Boys and sort of get them back on track and make a new hit for them. So the material that he wrote and recorded with Paley varies from mediocre to excellent. Mostly it's very good stuff, and most of it, especially the best tracks, have been released on various compilations and so on, and various different projects by Brian during these past few decades. But the Beach Boys album never materialized. They had like a day or two recording sessions together in 1995 with the members of the Beach Boys, and they recorded the Soul Searching track and You're Still a Mystery. And apparently Carl wasn't a fan of those songs, which to me is very strange, because especially those two tracks and a few others too, in my opinion, are just pure classics. Amazing compositions and lyrics, and those recordings, those two tracks that are released on the Made in California box set are lost classics. They are just phenomenal, and it's really sad that that project didn't materialize, and it's really sad that Carl then passed away a few years later, so we never got his side of the story, like later on. But it is told that apparently Carl was the one that pulled the plug on that project, and it's very sad because Brian was extremely excited about that project, and especially wanted Carl to, like the material and sing the material, and it never just really materialized, and they sort of had a falling out during that time period. If there was like other factors in it, I don't know. But anyway, instead we got this. The idea for this, I believe, came from Joe Thomas. I'm not sure how Joe Thomas then sort of got introduced to the Beach Boys circle. Was it like by Mike or whoever? I don't know. But anyway, Joe Thomas then became a big, important collaborator for Brian for the rest of his solo career. And for that reason alone, I'm very grateful for this project, because it introduced Joe Thomas for Brian Wilson, and they got along really well and wrote a bunch of amazing songs together, and this led to Brian releasing in 1998 the Imagination album, which was his big comeback album. Brian launching his solo career, like touring career, and then all of that led finally to That's Why God Made the Radio. So for those reasons alone, I'm extremely grateful for this project. But otherwise, I don't think this album really has its own merits in itself. Cover art is weird. It reminds me of like the Declaration of the Independence of the United States or something like that. It's very patriotic. it's kind of cool illustration, but kind of the style of it reminds me of those late 90s PC-ROM video game graphics, like Worms 2D or something like that. It's kind of, and then the back cover too is just as lame. The idea was that they would re-record a bunch of Beach Boys classics in country style and collaborate with country artists, like current country artists. I have a lot of Johnny Cash LPs. I love Johnny Cash. I love Willie Nelson. I love Chris Christopherson. I saw him live. It was one of the best concerts I've seen. So I really love the outlaw country genre and, you know, that sort of stuff, the classic stuff. But when it comes to this sort of modern country music, not really a fan at all. But the sort of the more folksy, rugged country music I really love. So I'm not really familiar with, to be honest, with any of these artists outside of Willie Nelson and Junior Brown that are featured on this LP. So there's my background with country music. Joe Thomas then sort of produced the backing tracks and with session musicians, and they all sound actually pretty good. And then Brian and the boys came to the studio, and Brian produced and I believe arranged the vocals that they did, the background vocals. And then the featuring guest artists then laid their vocals on top of that. And that's how you got this project. I'm not sure who actually picked these songs or, you know, the track list, but in my opinion, the track list is kind of strange. It's kind of mostly a greatest hits thing. It's strange because if the idea was to do country-oriented album, why did they choose so many rockers? Like, these songs don't sound country at all. There's very little country music on this album in itself, and that's very strange to me because while the backing tracks are played really well, they sound really good, they're not country. That's like one of my like biggest criticisms for this, because if it was meant to be like a country thing, it's kind of failing horribly with that, because there's just not much of that country aesthetic outside of the singers themselves. So okay, anyway, not gonna go through with these track by track because I would just repeat the same points, but I'm not a fan of the opening track, Don't Worry Baby, how they changed the lyrics. It just ruins the song for me. The vocal performance is good and the backing track is good, but I'm not a fan of those, that sort of the change of the lyrics at all. Just don't like it. I'm not sure why they did that. Like, were they scared that, you know, it would like sound like the singer is gay or something? I don't know, like, but like whatever, you know, don't mess with the freaking classic. I'm not a fan of that. Big criticism for me with the male singers is that I can't really, like, they all kind of sound the same for me. I do recognize Willie Nelson. He's got his own style. He's great. And The Warmth of the Sun, sung by him, is easily, by far, the best track on the album. I really love that rendition. And Junior Brown has got his own style, so I recognize him too. But the rest are kind of like, they're good, but they kind of just sound the same to me. So it doesn't really, like, I would want to have more variation, like, over there. You know, that's a big issue for me with this one. And like I mentioned, the backing tracks are all good. They're very well played. I don't know, there's just something about it. I would love it to be more raw and just less rock and roll and more country. Like you know, there's like these rockers, 409, Little Do Scoop, I Get Around, Long Tall Text, and why is there a cover song on this one? It's not a Beach Boys song. I don't like that one at all. Fun, Help Me Rhonda. Like, the track selection is strange. It's a pleasant listen. It's not offensively bad, but it is not essential. Though I gotta mention, the Beach Boys backing vocals sound amazing, but to me they don't, how would I put it? Like, I just don't care, you know? Like, they could be anybody singing the backgrounds over here. Like, you don't sort of get this, oh, it's the classic Beach Boys style. Like, even though they sound great, there's just something about it. It just doesn't pop. Caroline No, sung by Timothy B. Smith, is really good as well, and it closes off the album. But otherwise, like, it's just, and I can hear music. Kathy Trocoli, that's a nice version too, but I guess, like, even with that one, I kind of have a little bit of problem with her singing style, because she sort of just tries to sell it so much, and it's kind of a little bit too much for me, but it's a good vocal. Liner notes, like when it was recorded and information, cool image of Willie Nelson. You know, you got really nice pictures over here, so it's worth of picking up just for the booklet really only. And there's a cool picture of Joe Thomas and Brian Wilson actually. Very nice. Okay, but anyway, that's really my review of the album. I know it's kind of, I did a poor job with this one, but the thing is, it's kind of just there, you know. It's not bad, but it's kind of like elevator music. You can listen to it once or twice here and there, but I don't really get back to it. But this one, few more words about this one, Making of Stars and Stripes. First of all, I find it hilarious that the Beach Boys, who recorded like 20 awesome classic albums, and then like 9 albums, and the ones that we have documentation of, like video, like filmed documentation, behind the scenes stuff and so on, are Stars and Stripes, Keeping the Summer Alive, MIU, like the worst of the worst. It's hilarious. Why would they choose to film the creation of these albums and not, like, I don't know, like Friends, Pet Sounds, Holland? Like, can you imagine if we'd have like 20 hours of film footage of the process of recording Holland? Or I don't know, like Brian's back era, like, I don't know, creation of Adult Child or something. How crazy would that be? No, where we have the writing sessions of MIU with Al and Mike, or, you know, the Making of Stars and Stripes. Anyway, you know, well, it is what it is. But this one, it's a great documentary. It's filmed very well on actual film, you know, so the footage is glorious. And a lot of the sort of the later documentaries, especially like the Disney one recently, use the interview footage of this one, like that originates from this documentary. So like a lot of the best parts of the interviews from that recent documentary actually come from this one. So the interviews, especially with Brian on this one, are great, just phenomenal. And I also think that because here you can see a lot of the songs being performed on a stage, so they sort of just come alive differently. It's much more fun to look at them performing them than just listening to this album. There's that one track that is actually cut from this one. I think it's In My Room, yeah, with Tammy Wynette. That was a gorgeous song, and I don't understand why it's not over here. That was a really cool version. Anyway, but yeah, like there's nothing too much about it. You know, the interviews are fun, and especially the scene with Willie Nelson is hilarious, because Mike goes to like direct Willie, like, you should sing it this way, we did it this way, and then Willie's like, well, I'll do first the parts that I can, like the easier parts, and then I'll do that one. He's like trying to be nice with saying like, I'm doing it my way, you know, like. Anyway, and then Brian, it's so funny how Brian actually tells that story, and then it's cut with the actual footage. So Brian is laughing about it, and then they cut it with next to that real footage of that moment. So it works really well. It's very well edited, and yeah, very like candid. And I love those sections with Carl leading the sort of the music on stage when they're doing rehearsals and so on. So there's a lot of cool moments in this one, and if you can find this, pick it up. And if you're not a fan of the album itself, you really need to check this one out, because I feel like this is actually an almost like an essential viewing. Really, really good documentary, and very, very nice thing to watch. I don't know, once in 5 years or something like that. But there we go. Thanks for watching. What do you think about Stars and Stripes? Is it your least favorite Beach Boys album, or is it your favorite? I know it actually has a lot of fans too. and it did do like I think like relatively well in some charts. It wasn't like a groundbreaking, didn't really, you know, it wasn't like a hit thing, but some people actually dug it and bought it, I guess. Anyway, I think probably if you're a fan of these singers that are featured on it, you probably find a lot more enjoyment out of it, because I'm not against the idea. I think the idea is pretty good, but it just doesn't really carry the project all the way through, in my opinion. But anyway, I would love to know what you guys think about this project and this era. Let's continue in the comment section below. And sadly, this is the second to last Beach Boys studio album review that I'm going to do, because the next one is going to be their last album. And then it's not going to be the end, because then we'll go and review all the solo albums and so on. There's still many box sets that I haven't talked about and even haven't collected. I only have a few box sets behind me, and I want to collect them first, and then we'll talk about them. And hopefully, maybe later this year, there'll be a new box set by the Beach Boys out for Christmas, maybe, hopefully. I don't know, but I've heard some rumors. Anyway, so there's gonna be a lot of things to discuss even about the Beach Boys, even after I have finished the album review series. So I hope that you stick around for all of that. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you hopefully soon again on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.